Morning, morning, morning. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Love 500. And welcome back to just a very short video on a problem that I've found with this stereo. This is the stereo that I installed in this car, obviously. This is the £92 AliExpress 7-inch beautiful display that I raved about. It's still great, but there is an issue that I've discovered, and I have emailed the manufacturers and I've had a response from them as well. I am still waiting for my second response, but I just wanted to explain to you what the issue is. Let me show you. Before I go any further, I just want to apologise for my voice. I have got a stinking cold, so I'm a bit, yeah, whatever. So, right, the issue is, let me explain, first of all, what the issue is. So, when the car is connected to Apple Carplay on my phone, when you start the ignition, and it doesn't seem to do it every single time, but it does it quite a lot, is when it starts up, it goes to Apple Carplay. Apple CarPlay loads in about 10 seconds or so. And if you are on the radio, on screen, the radio, there's no sound coming out. The sound is being received because you will see, and I'll switch it on in a minute, you will see the little marching displays jumping up and down to the music where it is receiving the signal, but there's no sound coming out. If you turn the volume right up, you just hear a faint buzz. If you go into CarPlay and then go to Spotify, you can start playing a track in Spotify, stop it, go back to the radio, and the radio works. The reason is it uses the Apple CarPlay, presumably Android Auto as well, as its preference. So if you are linked to a phone using Apple CarPlay, when you turn that stereo on, its preference will be to go to Apple CarPlay for sound. Now that is a bit of an issue. Although you can get round it by doing what I just explained, it's a right royal pain in the arse. So if you're like me, that you like to listen to the radio more than you do Spotify, you're going to have to do that every time you switch the car on. Let's switch it on. I may have to mute the music for YouTube if it works, but at the moment my phone is still connected to it, so I'm going to try it and see what it does. So let's switch on. So there you go, fired up. So it's playing music. So what we'll do, so I've just gone to a station that's just got talking on it. So it's actually worked at the moment. So it hasn't gone to CarPlay. Now if we go to CarPlay, so if we go home, this is what you generally have to do every time. So you go to CarPlay. So to get to CarPlay, you've got to go to T-Link 5, press T-Link 5, and it will launch CarPlay. Now it normally does that on its own. I don't know whether I've switched it off where I've been playing with it. No, there you go, it's gone to it now. Of course the radio is playing. Now it may be because the reason it's not done it possibly is because I quit Spotify on my phone. So that could be the way around it. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to persevere for a couple of days. I'm just going to check my phone to see Spotify. I'm pretty sure Spotify is actually switched off on my phone. I'm just going to double check. So it wasn't actually. Spotify was still running on my phone. So maybe if I launch it on here, so if I launch it on here, does that launch it up from scratch? Yeah, it does launch it up from scratch. And now, of course, the radio's cut out because we've gone to Spotify. So if I now go back to FM, oh, there you go, it's doing it. See, we got no sound. You can see that it's receiving the signal, but there's no sound. So I turn the volume up. Can't actually hear a buzz, but never mind. If we then go back to CarPlay, now I'm not sure there's a shortcut to get back to CarPlay. Don't think there is. Thought there would be. Go back to that, and then we're back to Spotify again. So what I can do is I can just start playing something. Oops. So we'll have a bit of Ibiza classics. So let's just have anything, doesn't matter what it is. There you go, so that's working. So we stop that, and then we go back to FM, and it's working again.
You keep saying that.
So that's basically what's happening. Now that is just stupid. So what can we do to stop this? So I Googled this issue the other night, and I found quite a few threads on the web basically saying what I've said is that Apple CarPlay will take precedence. Now, I've never had this happen on one of the Series 3 head units, the ones with the built-in vents, you know, for the older style cars. That's never been an issue. It's never happened on any of those ones that I've fitted before. But what I've seen on the web is that because it takes precedence, there should be a setting somewhere within the stereo that makes the radio take precedence. So when you fire up the stereo, it will go onto the radio. If you want to go to Spotify, you can do that. That I haven't tried yet, but I did email the manufacturer. They came back and basically said, if your phone and the radio, i.e. the stereo, are paired, then the CarPlay will take precedence. If you, for the radio to take precedence, you need to disconnect from CarPlay. Now that is just stupid. So I've emailed them back and said, I found it on the web, and apparently there's some settings. Can you tell me what those are? I haven't received an email back from him yet. One may come back today, and I'll stick it in the end of this video if they have replied. But yeah, that is very, very stupid. As I say, if you're the sort of person that doesn't use the radio, it's fine. But if, like me, you listen to the radio more than you listen to things like Spotify, then it's a pain in the arse, because every time you get in the... Not every time, because it didn't do it then when I switched it on, but I demonstrated what it does. Again, that may be because CarPlay was quit on my phone at some point, and so I had to launch it on here. I don't know. But we're going to look through the settings now and see if we can find anything, and see if we can change it. Let's give it a go. If I find it, fingers crossed, I'll show you. Right, under sound priority, we've got this. Now, I may have changed this. I don't know. So this is under your settings, and then under sound settings. And then we have at the top, I'll get rid of that, sound priority. And it's set to intelligent. Now that would make you think, potentially, that Apple CarPlay is intelligently saying you've launched Apple CarPlay, therefore that you want that in the foreground. So that could be. So third-party sound priority or system sound priority. So I think we're going to put it on system. And then we're going to try it. So nav audio channel. So if you've got audio navigation on, and you want the audio, it will mix it in and it will reduce your sound and so on and so forth. Device ringtone, speed compensated volume control, which you can do anyway. That might do it. I don't know if it's going to or not. We'll have to try it. So I will come back and let you know whether that works. So I think I've sorted it. I think that's done it. I think, but I won't. I'm going to give it a few goes and see what happens. Yeah, not sure. Again, as I say, I'm waiting to get the email back from the manufacturers, and hopefully they will say sound priority, but it looks hopeful. So yeah, that's good. But I will come back and let you know before I finish this video. I will let you know whether it's a fix, basically. As I say, I can't remember if I changed that when I was flicking through the settings or not, but it would make sense that that would be the reason. We shall see. I'll let you know. Right, I think I finally got to the bottom of it. So, as you can see, I just turned it on there and it fired up on the radio straight away. Now, what it's not doing now is it's not immediately booting up CarPlay, which from my point of view is what I want it to do. Now, I think the way that I've got round that is by closing Spotify on my phone. And you'll notice that on the top left of the screen there is a little flippy phone, iPad icon. If I click on that, it will go to CarPlay. But because Spotify is not active, the radio, I can go to that, quit it, and then, or turn the stereo off, come back into the stereo, and it's still on the radio. So that's how I want it to be. I don't want it to launch CarPlay every time. It would, I suppose, in theory, it would be better if it did, and then you can, like in my BMW, it launches CarPlay, and then I just press a station number and the radio comes on. If and when it does that. Again, even in the BMW, it's not It doesn't do it every time, but often does it. So if I press that, you'll see it will now launch CarPlay. It's asking me to connect it, but of course it's automatically going to do it. My phone's in my pocket, and it will do it within a few seconds. There it goes. And then we get the map up, which I don't want you to see, of course. There we've got the icons of all the other apps as well. As I say, this is quite a nice responsive screen, this. If I launch Spotify, it will work, but I can go back to FM now, and there you can see the music is playing. So if I want to go back to it again, all I do is press that again, and it's already loaded, so it goes back to it. So I think that's sorted it. It's a workaround, really. It's not ideal. It would be better, of course, if CarPlay just launched every time, but you could just go to radio, and the radio worked, which it is doing now. But that's the way around it. So that has sorted it. So thankfully, with a lot of messing around, we got to the bottom of it. I thought I'd sorted it out with that little symbol that I'd selected by making it the priority, by making it system or whatever it was, rather than what I can't even think what it was now. The bit I showed you previously, but that didn't seem to make any difference whatsoever. Although maybe it's now coming up with the radio now all the time because that's what I've got selected. I don't know, but it's working. That's the main thing. That was my only bugbear about this stereo. So I just wanted to persevere and see if I could sort it out so I could let you know, because anyone that follows my original video of the stereo will see that I'm banging on about how fantastic this is, and it is a fantastic system. But that's just a couple of little bits there were there. One with the RDS, which we sorted out, and the one with the lack of sound coming out on the radio. So that's it, sorted. So this car is actually sold, hopefully being picked up in a couple of days. So we won't be able to test anything else. But if you've got any other questions on this stereo, give us a shout, drop us a message. You can always email me. Email address, etc. is in the description of the video. That's it. Don't forget, if you're not a subscriber, hit that button, subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, and until the next one, thanks for watching. As always, take care, stay safe, and we'll see you soon.